All right. We're going to be jumping into a late night stream. I don't know who's up because I'm in Cali time and it is literally midnight for me. But there's a couple of topics that I want to talk about, a couple of things that I'm going to go over. Now, I'm going to talk about a few different things and I'm going to essentially break them up into their own individual videos. So we're gonna get on into it. It's late. It's a lot of topics to talk about. A lot of stuff going on. Shannon Sharpe is being sued for 50 million. He released the text messages from the alleged woman involved. She was feeling some type of way because of him getting all, down up in them guts with the whole Michelle video and so much more. I was looking at the text messages where she was sending him stuff, and I'm like, are they into race play? I mean, what's it giving? And then a lot of black women felt some type of way because they were like, oh, if you deal with black women, you wouldn't have these problems, blah, 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 blah. It is so much that I'm going to go over with this because I got a lot of opinions. I have a lot of things that I'm going to get into, okay? Now, in addition to talking about Shannon Sharpe in this live video, I'm also going to be talking about how the Neighborhood Talk posted that Kim Kardashian will possibly be playing the role of the bodyguard in the new remake. Now, this probably perhaps is clickbait, or it could be true, who knows? But my comment on the Neighborhood Talk around this topic got a lot of ruffles feathered. A lot of people were mad at me. I got like hundreds and hundreds of replies, and they were so mad. And I'm like, girl, baby girl, we're going to talk about that as well. So I'm going to get on into that gig as well, as far as my opinion about Kim Kardashian playing the bodyguard. And then Kanye West is out here talking about him and his cousin, and him saying that his cousin is serving life and he used to give him a little gawk when they were young after they watched these magazines. Everybody's like, oh my God, that. I don't know why, out of all the things that Kanye West, I used a 9 instead of a R. Spell it out. You said, what's 9 ACE? I replaced the R with a 9 because I don't know how YouTube is about pairing the word race and play together in the title. So that's what we got. But anyways, so after the comment about the cousin and him supposed to have this intimate relationship as youngsters, now everybody is in the comments like, oh my God, something's wrong with him. And I'm like, so y'all didn't see something was wrong with him the previous album releases that he did? Not only that, I'm looking at the comments and I'm like, I feel like because there is this stigma around, how men on men interaction is, do you really think that your man or your other family members are going to admit what be going on? Because I have female cousins and, I have male cousins as well. And we all heard about, the controversy with Krishan's family and how, there was allegations of the kids playing house. There is a lot of people of all races, not just black people, but all races where kids, you got to watch. It's not just, you don't have to just worry about adults messing around with kids. You gotta watch kids and kids together because kids experiment. So I found it ironic that, people were like, oh my God, oh, wow, wow. It's like, child, this probably has been going on with more people than you know. Your baby daddy, your cousin, your brother, sister, cousin, brother, Tracy, a whole bunch of people have probably dealt with the same thing, but because of the stigma of men on men, will they ever admit it? Are they taking it to the grave? You don't know. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things. There was so many controversial topics that hit the net. Justin Bieber is looking zooted out all over social media. And I mean, it's given, is he okay? Is he well? Or is he just living his best life? I really don't know. It's given the Ray J special as it pertains to Justin Bieber. In addition, there was a lot of people who were upset about Roddy Ricch choosing to post his daughter but not his autistic son. So there are so many topics that have been brewing over the weekend, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just talk about all of these different topics, give you guys my opinions on them, and then I'm going to break up the live and just make each topic its own video. So don't come back later and be like, Neek, didn't you talk about this? Girl, is this the live or is this the independent video? You know what I mean? We're going to be talking about a bunch of things. So let's get into it. Let's see. What are we going to talk about first? Okay, let's get into, before I get into the whole Shannon Sharpe lawsuit and the details and reading all of the paperwork, let's get into my opinion on this bodyguard situation. All right, so let's read what it says. It says, what the helly? Kim Kardashian is reportedly a front runner for the lead role in the remake of The Bodyguard, which was originally played by Whitney Houston. So in the caption, they talk about how she's possibly going to be on this new remake. And, this is what it says. It says, neighbors, get in here for this one. Warner Brothers is reportedly reimagining the 1992 classic, The Bodyguard, with Kim Kardashian on the top of the list to possibly take the lead role, which was previously played by the late Whitney Houston. According to Daily Mail, many speculated that Taylor Swift would be tapped for the iconic role, but sources indicate that the script has been written and tailored for Kim. Everyone immediately assumed Taylor would get the lead, the role played by Whitney Houston in the original film, because the Bodyguard remake is being directed by Sam Wrench, who directed the 2023 film about Taylor's era tour. But Warner Brothers, the studio remaking the original, is very keen on Kim, a source told the Daily Mail. They have already been in multiple meetings, and the script has been written with Kim in mind. For those concerned about the singing, well, who said it was going to be a musical? Everyone is assuming the remake will be a musical, but there has been talk of making a sequel for years, and most of the talk has been about taking it in a different direction, the source continued, using a global celebrity but not necessarily having it as a musical, more straightforward drama. Kim is one of the most recognizable women on the planet. She believes she has what it takes to be a major movie star. She'd be perfect for The Bodyguard, and she knows it. Everyone is very excited, the source continued. So that is what was posted by the Neighborhood Talk. And like most times, I don't, it's not on purpose, but a lot of times I have an unpopular opinion. And this is one of them. I think that if and black people have to realize, okay, number one, when this movie was first pitched to Hollywood or to Kevin Costner and they were looking for a lead, this movie was never made with a black lead person in mind, okay? if you guys are not aware and you don't know how history went with the making of The Bodyguard and how the movie came about, they originally wanted a white woman to play the role. They wanted Michelle Pfeiffer or maybe Julia Roberts. They wanted Kevin Costner to be paired up with a white woman, but the role was supposed to be to a woman that is supposed to be so beautiful, so gorgeous that, she needed this protection. Now, the beauty in the story in how it came about is because Kevin Costner himself, he chose Whitney because in his eyes, he felt like she was the most beautiful woman in the world. The studio in Hollywood didn't think that she was the most beautiful. They did not write this script in mind for a black woman, let alone Whitney Houston, who had never had an acting role before that. So now fast forward to when they are reimagining this script. To me, in my eyes, I don't see the big deal in it being Kim Kardashian or another white woman for that matter. Because if we are going to rally for The Little Mermaid and we're going to say, hey, the role of The Little Mermaid that we grew up on, that was a white woman with red hair and she had this, this red, fiery hair. And we're going to say, you know what? In 2024, 2023, or whenever the Little Mermaid movie came about, if we're going to say, you know what? No, let's swap out this white woman and make her black and with dreadlocks, then we can't be mad if our movies that we're used to seeing black leads in get swapped out. In my opinion, I think there is so much material to make new movies where we don't have to keep making these remakes. But if remakes are going to be made, you can't advocate and rally for black women to take original roles where the original main character was white and say, you know what, put a black person there because we want inclusivity, and then get mad when it gets swapped the other way around. Now, on my comment on the post, I said the following, and Neighborhood Talk was being a little messy because they seen that, my take was very unpopular. They pinned my comment to the top. So, people was really, 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 really mad because they're like, oh my God, why would y'all pin this or whatever? So I wrote in the comment and I said, she's been doing much better in the acting department after doing the American Horror series. It's 2025. They can't cast Whitney, so I'm guessing they're just going with another popular face. So this was met with a lot of, fallback of, oh my God, what about the singing part? How is she going to sing? How do most of these singers sing? Most of these singers who supposedly have the gift of singing, when they're on tour, are not even really singing. A lot of the singers are singing with the background track louder than them, and you barely hear them singing their vocals over the top. Like, let's not act like most of the live performances ain't lip singing in the first place. Let's not act like it's not acting in the first place. Like, so a lot of people were like, oh my God, she can't even sing. Most of the people that sing can't sing. And most of the people who are singers be lip singing when they're live or they're performing in the first place. So, I mean, okay. So, let's get into some of the comments. Somebody said, I think maybe they would get a singer. Somebody says, yeah, one that don't sing and she ain't black. Another person said, I heard Taylor Swift at first. This person says they need a singer. It's bad enough this new generation can't even sing live. And then somebody said, girl, y'all really be saying anything. Another person says they should have put her in the Snow White as the evil queen. Maybe it would have slightly saved it from flopping. Another person says she don't even sing. Whitney was a star. Kim got famous because of Ray J. Somebody said, girl, are you okay? Okay. Somebody said, but shouldn't it be someone who can sing? Okay, and then this person right here says it doesn't have to be a singer character. It could be a famous actress and her bodyguard, or a famous lawyer since she's playing that whole angle. Another person said, yeah, one that don't sing. Oh wait, I read that already. I hate when they start repeating the comments. Hold on. I don't know why on the freaking when I look at Instagram on freaking on my phone, I mean not on my phone, on the computer, it repeats. It's so many comments under that thread, but I can't even pull all of them up because it starts to repeat. But it was some real like comments coming for my neck because they felt as though how can you say she can do the role, and I feel like it's for somebody that need a bodyguard. I don't really see the big deal in it. You know, if you like it, watch it. If you don't, if you want a black woman, don't watch it. Like, you know, just like the white people, they didn't want to see a black Ariel, they didn't watch it. So, you know, that's that on that. So let's move on to, let's see, what do I want to talk about next? Let's see. So, hold on one second. Because there's been a lot of topics. Oh, let me talk about this real quick because this really had a lot of people mad as well. So, Boosie went to Ruth Chris, okay? And Boosie wanted to have his steak with A1 sauce. And a lot of people in the comments were upset because they felt like if you go into that fancy of a restaurant and if you have to ask for A1 steak sauce, then, you know, you don't know nothing about steak and you ain't a steak connoisseur, and you know, if it's flavored good, you don't need A1 sauce and so much more. Let's see what Boosie said, what his interaction was, and then I'll give you guys my opinion.
A1, this shit don't taste like no fucking A1. Hey, bro, is this A1 sauce? It don't taste like A1. No? Nah, this ain't A1, bro. I ain't tripping. I'm a Ruth Chris professional. That ain't A1. Give me the bottle, bro.
Oh, wait, I didn't realize that it was a song playing. Okay, we gotta cut that down. So let's go to the comments because I left a comment on here as well. And my comment says, some people like the taste of certain stuff with their food, no matter how good it's seasoning. No matter how good it's seasoned. So if you are a person and you season your steak, A1 sauce is a flavor, okay? Just like you put salt, pepper, or whatever or however you season your steak or however you cook it, A1 sauce is a flavor, okay? And that is a flavor that some people like to eat with their food. But a lot of people felt some type of way about it. They felt like you don't supposed to go to these type of establishments and want A1 sauce. And I remember one time where I went to like a very, very, very expensive restaurant, like really 5-star restaurant. I ordered a steak and, you know, everybody always be like, oh, you know, steaks, you know, when you go to these type of top tier restaurants and you don't need no seasoning, baby, it wasn't given eat it bare, okay, at all. It was not given eat this steak bare. So I wanted A1 sauce on my steak at a very, very expensive restaurant. So I remember I was like, hey, can you bring me some A1 sauce? Because I like that flavor sometimes. Now, I don't eat A1 sauce every time I eat steak, but sometimes when it's not given enough flavor for me, I want to add a little A1 sauce to it, okay? And I remember they brought out a sauce that looked like A1 sauce in color, but it had like this sweet, like taste, like it was like a sweet taste. You know how A1 sauce is kind of like a little tart to it? And so I remember I get it, and because I specifically asked for A1, and then they brought it to me, and then I put a little bit on my steak, and I'm like, is this A1 or is this y'all version of A1? And then the waiter was like, oh, this is our version. So a lot of times when you go to those establishments and you ask for A1, they'll bring you out their version of it, okay? And so I understand Boosie wholeheartedly because I've had this experience before where I was like, hey, can I have A1 sauce? And they'll bring you their version of A1 sauce and it don't taste good. So, I feel like that's what it was given. Like, I don't trust you. Like, this ain't A1 because they'll do that. They will literally do that. And then the waiter was like, oh, I don't know if we have any more A1, blah, blah, blah. So you have to be very specific sometimes. So let's read through some of these comments over here. Someone says, man, if you want A1, go to Outback, my guy, or Sizzlers, respectfully. Another person says, I don't care how good the steak is, run that sauce. Someone says, that's how I feel about my vinaigrette at Chipotle. Another person says, top client needing A1 sauce was all I needed to hear. You are clearly not a steak connoisseur. And I mean, another person says, a good steak don't need any A1 sauce. And then another person says, I haven't heard anyone using A1 sauce with steak since the 90s. Another person says, I don't care how good the steak is already. I need my A1 sauce, and so much more. So there was a lot of people going back and forth about, oh, if you need A1 sauce, then you must be one of those type of people who want your steak well done, and you don't know what good steak is, and if you get it medium rare and blah, 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 blah. It's like people like what they like. They like the flavors they like the taste that they like. And if you like A1 with your steak, eat A1 with your steak. Now, if you put ketchup on your eggs or you put ketchup on certain stuff, I'm going to judge you. And that's probably how some people are judging him with the A1 sauce, because there's certain food combinations that I really be looking at like, how? How you get ketchup and eggs together? It just don't match to me. But everybody got their own taste buds and they like what they like. They like what they like. Now, moving on, let's get into this Shannon Sharpe thing. I'll talk about Kanye a little bit later, but let's get into the Shannon Sharpe whole gig, because there was a lot of people who was giving him advice to no longer date women that are not black and to date black women when they found out that the accuser her name was Esperanza or something, and they realized he had his Michelle and then he got his Esperanza, and they was like, oh, so it's not giving black women. So let me read what this says right here. It says, Tony Busby's law firm is reportedly helping a Jane Doe file a SA lawsuit against Shannon Sharpe. The woman claims Shannon was physically and emotionally abusive up until January 2025. Okay? So she paired up with Tony Busby, who was the one that was trying to sue Jay-Z with that whole Jane Doe situation, and then Jay-Z fired back and was now got him to where he can't practice in New York and all that whole thing. Well, now he's, going after Shannon Sharpe, and then Shannon Sharpe decided to fire back by releasing a statement. Now, when people started to read the statement that he released, they realized that the lady was saying things that she was saying she wanted him to put a big black baby in her. She was saying stuff that would very tellingly tell you that she wasn't a black woman, and they wanted to give him advice. Now, we're going to go into all of the comments that was in this whole text thread that he released on his side to expose her. We're going to get into that. But let me just go through some of these comments to see what the people is saying. Somebody says, I don't know. It only thing that I think is Tony Busby has a sick obsession with filing lawsuits against rich black men. Another person says, no black woman says, I want a big black baby. She's probably a snow bunny. Another person says, the black baby comments are extremely weird. Something is seriously wrong with both of them. Another person says, show the whole text. Okay, please, period. Somebody says, why she have to keep saying big black baby? Another person says, leave them white women alone. Another person says, y'all keep thinking non-black women are the prize. Someone wants to see what she looks like. Another person says, this is a perfect example of how some black men love to be a fetish for non-black women. Okay, another person says she wanted that big black baby and a lifetime of payments. Okay, another person says, y'all need to, okay, hold on, wait, was it on the first one? Because it was better, hold on, wait, let's look through some more of these comments. Anyway, let's go to the statement that he put out. All right, let's go to the statement. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And let's get into it. So he decided to post on his page and fire back at her claims. And he wanted to put out that she was into whatever he was dropping down. And you see, it was comments like this right here that was heavily through all of the blogs. Now, when I'm looking up certain comments, like I said, on my computer, they don't populate what be popping up on my phone. But this was the sentiment of a lot of women, okay? This was the sentiment of a lot of women. This woman says, find you a nice black woman, Unc, please. Communicating with this person after they kept saying big black baby is just disturbing. You can do better. He can do better? He can do better? Interesting. All right. So let's get into what she was saying. Somebody says, come back on this side, Shannon. They ain't worth it, bruh. All right. Okay. And this person right here, Unc, it's time to find you a Miss Deborah with a 27-piece wig who don't do nothing but go to church, watch Beyond the Gates, and go on daily walks in the mail. Okay. And then, so much more. So let's read through this, his side of things where he put out. So it says a statement by Lanny J. Davis, counsel to Shannon Sharpe. All right. And then it shows these messages that she was a willing participant and things like that. So it says, I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me. Gabriella Zuniga in a text message to Shannon on October 7, 2023. Then she said, I know you missed this big, juicy $25K for each cheek. Gabrielle Zuniga in a text to Shannon Sharpe 1/1/2025. All right. So then they go on to say that basically the lawsuit is frivolous, and then it's going to be paired with more quotes and more text between them. So it says, this lawsuit filed by Gabriella Zuniga and orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It is filled with lies, distortions, and misrepresentations, and it will not succeed. In her effort to extract a large financial settlement, Ms. Zuniga presented Mr. Sharpe with a secretly recorded video of a consensual encounter We believe the video has been heavily edited and taken entirely out of context, crafted to falsely portray a consensual act as non-consensual. Ms. Zuniga has refused to provide a copy of the full unedited version of the recording to Mr. Sharpe's legal team. All right? So they're saying, listen, it's a tape out here that make it look like he was dominating her, and we want y'all to know that, they edited it and she was a willing participant. So it says, we believe the video has been heavily edited, taken out of context, crafted to falsely portray a consensual act as non-consensual. Ms. Zuniga has refused to provide a copy of the full unedited version of the recording to Mr. Sharpe's legal team. To set the record straight, we are releasing several of Ms. Zuniga's own explicit text messages to Mr. Sharpe that clearly indicate the nature of their relationship was consensual and they was in agreements to do the hanky-panky. Okay? In many cases, initiated by her with specific and graphic requests. Contrary to the allegations she makes in her lawsuit, consensual hanky-panky continued until January 2nd, 2025, the day after she asked for $25,000 per cheek, as quoted above from her text to Mr. Sharpe. There are other examples of texts from Ms. Zuniga, for example. So they go into these other text messages from Ms. Zuniga, and let's look at what they said. So one of the texts says, only if you put that baby gravy in me, then I can do whatever I want to me. I guess she meant you can do whatever you want to me. All right, so she sent that November 23rd, 2023. And then it says, I want to put my tongue in your buns. Okay, I'm paraphrasing because, she used explicit words. But she says, I want to put my tongue in your buns and then marry you. Okay, this is a text from Zuniga, and this was in January 2024. Then she also sent a text saying, that's my daddy. I want you to put a big black baby in me. Okay. That was a text from August 6, 2024. Then she said, you better crave it because you're going to be stuck with it for life after you put a big black baby in me. Then she said some more stuff. So it says these messages are just a sampling of a broader pattern of graphic, hanky-panky communications initiated by Miss Zuniga. Now, when you go to the actual complaint, and I take a lot of the stuff that Tony Busby does with a grain of salt because he does not seem ethical at all. But when you listen to the things that she's saying, it only makes you wonder what things were he saying. And the part where she said that she wants to stick her tongue in his buns, my message to black women is this. Now, if you are a black woman, which there are some, that like to go down and toss groceries. However, I'm not licking a grown man's. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing certain things in that nature. Now, I'm not here to kink shame, but I'm kink judging. And I'm not doing it. Now, it might sound ironic because I'm a person who I'll let a man do it to me. But I'm not going down and licking there. So if that's something that he likes, then a lot of times they're going to go with who they think gonna be easiest to get it off. Now, on top of them going to where it's easiest to get it off, it's also easier with a woman much younger. Now, I seen in the comments, somebody said it sounds like he cut her off because she's psycho. She don't sound psycho to me. Where she sound psycho at? She sound like she into the frisky, kinky, all of the tip, the race play, and it sound like he was right there with it. Because if he was not with what she was talking about, there would not have been a text. If he would have checked her and been like, big black baby in me or in you, there wouldn't have been a text on August 6th. And then she sent another text on August 11th. And then there was a text. This is something that he's initiating too. He's telling her, I'm going to put this big black. If you think this is just her, I got air to share. Still. Because stuff that make me feel uncomfortable or something that I'm not really with, I'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, why what? They'll probably get it off one time to try to test the waters. But on August 6th, you talking about big black this, that. In 2023, you talking about black gravy. And you think that wasn't something that they both was, you know what I mean? Now, when you go to the complaint from Tony Busby, it reveals that I think she was like 19 years old and he was like in his 50s. Let me get her exact age because I think they met when she was 19. Yeah. She was 19 years old at the time. So when you pair in, now again, I take a lot of what Tony Busby do with a grain of salt, but when they talking about her age, his age, I believe that part. Because he denied dealing with her. He didn't say, this wasn't no Jay-Z situation where he said that, sorry to this girl, I don't know her at all, you're lying on me. He provided text messages to say, look, she want this big black King Kong in there. She want this big black, Look, this is what she said. She wanted it. They didn't say, Shalon, I don't know her. We never had this. No, we both was getting it in. And so then when you come to the complaint and you see her age paired with his age, paired with her licking in between his ass. Now, I'm not saying that warrants $50 million. I'm not saying that warrants a payout because clearly she was with it, what it seemed like. Okay, it seemed like she got mad. His live video, she thought he was just messing with her. And then the live video of him bumping uglies with Michelle came about. And so it sounds like she turned bitter. And now I don't fuck with you because you made it seem like you was just having sex with me and you was having sex with Michelle. And now I want some money. That's what it sounds like. But when you pair all of those things together, now, you could be like, I love my ad block in the comments and say 19 is still legal. I mean, it is. But if you almost 60 and you're trying to go after a 19-year-old, I want the black women to understand it's not a black woman experience that he's after. So stop offering up black women to fill a role that he don't want us to fill. Okay? Oh, you just need a black woman. Y'all want to lick his ass? I mean, some do. I'm not kink shaming. I'm kink judging. I'm not kink shaming. Do what you do. And maybe you want the role of licking his ass and race playing and doing all of those things. But just understand, when you're offering up this position to black women, what you're trying to offer us to do. Okay? And by us, I'm not saying me included. I'm just saying, just black women sake type of thing. You know? And when you factor in, like Stevie Ray say, what an old 56-year-old want with a 19-year-old? That's what I'm saying. Like, they like how, because, a 19-year-old, now, Shannon Sharpe is making a lot of money, and there's a lot of women at whatever age that will do something strange for a piece of change. But when guys are that old and they want girls that young, I be thinking they be having little dicks. Not saying he got one. He's tall, big, brolic. But that's just kind of what I be thinking. I be thinking, like, why do you need a girl that young? But they're adaptable. They're not as experienced. And some of the mediocre bedroom stuff is more impressive because they don't have a lot to compare it to. Because when I was 19, the sex I was having at 19 versus the sex when I came well into my adulthood, I realized there's a difference. You know what I mean? There's a difference of what I require and what I need out of the situation, versus what I was okay with and what I was, like, impressed with back then. But anyways, let's get into some of what this document says. Again, I take, what Tony Busby says with a grain of salt, but we'll read it since it's out there. The thing that I don't like, though, however, with these lawsuits is once you put an allegation out there, it's up and it's stuck, right? Like, so once you put a SA jacket on somebody, it's up and it's stuck based on if people believe you or not. So let's say this same woman was dating, I don't know, somebody with a freaky reputation, somebody who always talk about freaky stuff in their music or whatever. People would just automatically go with, oh yeah, they probably did it, and that would be on that person's jacket, whether it's true or not. So now it's basically based upon, like, oh, do we think that they're capable of that or not capable of that? Oh, I don't believe it. She just want money. But if it's somebody else with that same allegation, them being 56 and the girl being 19 and them showing text messages that Shannon Sharpe showed, the tune would just be a little bit different. Let's say it was, who could we say? Just any guy that, you know what I mean? Y'all get what I'm saying. So anyways, so let's read a little bit of it. And so we're gonna just, child, not they got pictures of him included. Not they got his photos in here and all of that. We're not gonna read this whole thing, but we're gonna read a little bit. And to the grammar police, the punctuation, Karens, listen up. I'm gonna read through it and not give a flying figgity. Okay, if I mess up a word, if I flub a word, it is what it is. If you don't want to hear me read and mess up a word or say a word, that you feel like need to be said the correct English dictionary Webster way, how about just pause this section, read it, or just Google it because it's Googleable, and read it for yourself, okay? Because I get sick and tired of you Karen pronunciation wenches always having a stick up y'all. Brung is not a word. There is nowhere in the dictionary that brung is a word. Girl, I don't give a flying figgity fuck. I've been using the word my whole life, okay? That's a part of slang. That's not in the dictionary. Girl, and so is a lot of the other stuff that you be saying. But we say it because it's been slang. Sometimes it's from where you from. Like, shut the up. So, if you get bothered, I'm not letting AI read a damn thing. I'm going to read it, and if I fuck up, I fuck up, like I said. And if you want it to be read perfectly, let AI read it for you. But AI ain't gonna give it up like it need to be gave up either. So there's that. So anyways, so it says plaintiff Jane Doe complains of defendant Shannon Sharpe and for cause of action would respectfully show this honorable court the following. So it says a woman could say yes to consensual hanky-panky relations with a man 99 times. But when she says no even once, that no means no. Defendant Shannon Sharpe, a man who is accustomed to getting what he wants, completely fails to understand this basic concept. After many months of manipulating and controlling the plaintiff, a woman more than 30 years younger than he, and repeatedly threatening to brutally choke and violently slap her, Sharpe refused to accept the answer no and took a little cookies out the cookie jar without her permission. Plaintiff, despite her sobbing and repeated screams of no, defendant Shannon Sharpe is a 56-year-old former NFL superstar. He claims to be one of the most successful sports media personalities in the country. The plaintiff is a young woman in her early 20s. In 2023, the plaintiff was working out at a gym in LA, and it says that Shannon approached her for the first time. So she says she previously noticed him watching her during her workouts. At this time, she was just 19 years old. At the time, she did not know who he was, only that he was another older guy ogling her at the gym. Okay. She says that she could tell that Sharpe was much older than her, and she found him physically intimidating. Eventually, he introduced himself at his determined insistence, and she gave him her number. Now, what I think probably happened was she probably was like, who is this old man? Who this keep looking at me? And she probably asked around the gym, and they probably told her, like, girl, he got money on. Girl, he got money. So all of that intimidation went out the window. All of that, oh, my God, he went from this big black man is looking at me to put a big black baby in me because somebody around the gym, I'm sure, told her that he got the money on. Okay, you worried about him looking at you? Girl, let him put a baby in you and you be secure for 18 years. And so the whole, why is this man looking at me, turned into put a black baby in me ASAP because she seen what them coins do. And I'm sure the people in the gym told her. All right. So she says after she gave him her number, over the next couple of weeks, he insistently pursued her. He constantly approached her at the gym and attempted to contact her frequently with phone calls and text messages asking to meet up, unwilling to take no for an answer. Eventually, she gave in and agreed to meet with him outside the gym. However, before doing so, he demanded that she sign an NDA. Okay? He like, wait, hold up. You 19. I'm old enough to be your daddy. Okay. Let's sign this non disclosure. let's sign this non-disclosure agreement, okay, ASAP. But she said, boy, you ain't messing with no rookie. Even though she a rookie, she said, you ain't messing with no rookie. And she apparently did not sign the NDA. Okay. So she was like, you want me to sign this non-disclosure? It's not giving that. Now, they said you got the money on, and I'm trying to have you plant a seed. That don't go hand in hand with non-disclosures. So she refused, okay? So it says, despite his repeated efforts to get her to sign, she refused time and time again. Eventually, he dropped the issue and invited her to his house. Okay, he like, listen, I'm putting in too much work. I'ma just get it anyway, you know? So he decided to just get it anyway. So he invited her to his house, and then it says, you know, what followed was the beginning of a rocky, consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years. The relationship was very unequal. Sharpe is more than 30 years older and is considerably wealthier, is physically much larger, and, you know, way stronger than she is. Okay, and he famous and got power. It says that, you know, she had to see him on his terms, which, whether you are famous or a pookie down the street, a lot of relationships are on the man's terms, okay? They paying for the dates. They the ones scheduling the dates. Women who really want to be, like, in a relationship, like, a lot of it, whether they have power, don't have power, money, don't have money, broke, whatever, a lot of it be on their terms, if we being honest. But, you know, it sounds good in the lawsuit. Like, oh my gosh, she's so powerless. He had all this money and she had to wait to see him when, you know, he was available. Like, I mean, he was busy. So it's like, yeah, she's broke 19-year-old. You got to get with the terms. But, you know, damsel in distress, it makes for good, you know, victimhood in the lawsuit. Okay. So they have to write it that way. Like, oh my God, she has to see him on his terms. He's, you know, so much stronger than her. He's so famous. And it's like, she had a choice, you know. I was 19 years old in the industry. I was 19 at a time when MySpace was popping. And that was the first celebrity DM situation that I had. And I decided at that time, I'm talking about me personally now, whether I wanted to deal with a certain celebrity or not deal with a certain celebrity. And even at 19, I had the wherewithal to say, hell no. Okay? Because I wish I could pull up my DMs from MySpace. But when they decided to rebrand and redo, like, the way that the format of the website, it, like, deleted my messages. But that was the first slide in your DM. And at 19, I had the wherewithal to say, hell no, or yeah, maybe, you know, and that's how it gave it up. So even at 19, girl, you want to deal with the nigga or not? You got a choice. You got a choice. Shit. Right. There was an NDA. You know what? I'm gonna tell y'all a story real quick. Y'all want to hear about Shannon Sharpe, but listen, who gives a damn? It's 1 a.m. in California right now, and I feel like talking. So back in the day, some of y'all may not know, but I used to, you know, do modeling. I used to be very popular, starting out, like, on MySpace. I had, like, a big following on there, and, you know, I would do, like, music videos. I didn't live in Los Angeles, but it didn't take me but an hour to get to LA. And I would be in different circles and all of that, like this, like that. But before it was celebrities, it was everyday men who would like, even back then, want to meet me, right? I remember one time, and I had got, okay, so listen, I had gotten so popular on MySpace that people would recognize me in public. And it was like, it was so crazy. So one time, right, I'm in my busted vehicle. I'm driving down the freeway. My mom had gave me her old Mitsubishi Mirage. So I'm driving my little, my little hoopty. It was truly a hoopty. I had a couple of hoopties in my day. But, I've always been photogenic. So, like, my pictures, it's given in real life, but I always would take, pretty pictures also, too. So, and I look like my pictures. So, like, I'm somebody who, like, if I post a picture, it ain't like, oh my God, is that her? Is that not her? If you see me in person, I look like what I look like, but I take pretty pictures. So anyways, so I'm driving down the freeway or whatever, and I see this guy trying to flag me down, like try to get my attention. Like, I'm driving and I'm like, I'm getting nervous because I'm like, what do he want? Like, what does he want? So so this is when you had to physically roll your window down. You know what I mean? I didn't have no automatic, I had to roll my window down. So I'm driving on the freeway and I'm rolling my window down. And this is when I'm like 18 years old at the time. I'm rolling my window down and he like, are you Nick off MySpace? And I'm like, yeah, that's me or whatever like that. He was like, oh, I didn't know. He thinking that I'm supposed, because I was so popular at the time, he thinking that I'm going to be riding in like a Beamer or like a Benz or something because of the popularity that I had. So he was like, I wasn't sure if it was you because of the kind of car that you driving in, all while we on the freeway, And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's me. Like, write me on MySpace, And I'm like scared because, it was at a time where I was, recognizable. Then there was another time where, and this don't have nothing to do with celebrities, but it's just about choice and payment, right? And later he was like, try to say like, oh, I thought you would have been in a better car than that. Child, don't worry about it, okay? But anyways, so it's all about choice, right? So I remember being 18 years old, right? And there was this guy, I remember his profile name and everything to this day. To this day. So it was a guy, he was a white man. He was very fascinated by me. For some reason, I don't know. But he really, really, really had a liking to me, right? And so he would try to get me to go out on a date with him. And he would tell me that he would pay me to go out on a date with him. And I'd be like, no. Because he was a white, he was into dressing up in heels and fishnets. And at the time, I was scared as hell. I'm like, oh no, this is when we still had like chat lines. People would, be getting killed, stuff like that. I was scared to pieces. Like, I'm seeing this white man. He's sending me pictures because you could send pictures, in the messages even back then. So like he's sending me pictures and he he want to pay me to like beat his ass. And at that time, I'm 18 years old. I don't know about dominatrix and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, hell no, you ain't about to get me and kill me. Hell no, I'm not going. Okay, he was offering me all types of money. I'm like, hell no, I'm not going. So at the time, this is when we had a top 8, okay? So on MySpace, you would put everybody that's close to you on your top 8. So all of your closest homegirls, closest cousins, whoever, would be in those top slots. So I told him, fuck no. I'm not meeting you. I'm not beating you. I'm not taking no type of payment. I'm not with this kinky shit at all. So guess what he did? He tried to bribe with money every person in my top 8, to the point where my cousin was out in person and she ran into this man in person, and he tried to pay her to lure me because he wanted me to have this BDSM moment with him. The shit was scary as hell. I remember it to this day. I could call my cousin right now and be like, hey, you remember you met up with what? Child, I had my homegirls like, girl, it'll be easy money. You know, he want to pay us some money. He just wants you. And I'm like, bitch, fuck no. I'm not going. So I say all of that to say, even at 18 years old, he was with all that weird kinky shit. I wasn't with it. I didn't want no parts in it. I valued my life. But he had this strong liking to me, to point where he would try to lure my friends, bribe them with money. Even my cousin was like, she went to the mall. He happened to be at the mall, like at the same, like ran into the nigga. I'm like, at this point, I'm scared of shit because I don't even know if I could trust my close friends because, well, y'all try to get me to get to, you know what I mean? This is real life 100%, like, no cap. Like, no cap. I'm telling, no cap. So I say all that to say, even at a young age, you got a choice. If you want to get with a program, you want to be bought, you can be bought if you want to. You got the choice to say yes or no. Back then, even when I was 18, 19 years old, hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. I wasn't with it. I was scared to death. I was nervous and scared. You said, how old did he look? He was much older than me. I was only 18 at the time. 18 going on 19 or whatever. That's when I, you know. But he was, like, he was into women, but he was wanting to be wearing heels and fishnets and panties, but he wanted black women to beat him. Specifically, he wanted to pay me to beat him. And he wanted to pay my friends to get me to go to a hotel to beat him. And I did not want to do it. I was like, hell nah, scared to death, not doing it. You got a choice. So, long story long, you know, that was just my little rant about, you know, it's up to you. Like, so them trying to paint this as, oh my God, he's so powerful. He got so much money and she's so much younger. It's like, she got a choice. But that money was enticing to her, just like it was to my friends who tried to convince me to go as well. And I said, hell no. But anyways, let's get back to the story. You said that's scary. Yes. Yes, it was definitely scary. You said it's different when the power dynamics is different with celebrities. I mean, yeah, yeah, but we talking about the beginning stages of things. This isn't like she's with this celebrity and he is financially responsible for her entire life and she doesn't have a job and she's so dependent on his lifestyle. This is a new situation and it's like she got a choice. So anyways, let's get back to it. But yeah, child, I got so much stories, so much child, mother has lived, as they say. Okay, child, mother has lived. So anyway, plaintiff and Sharpe saw each other on his terms and on his schedule as often as 4 times a week. Over time, plaintiff began to see Sharpe's true nature. She found him to be dishonest about his whereabouts. He would lie about seeing other women while insisting to her that she and he were exclusive. He often manipulated her, at times being sweet and loving to get what he wanted, and at other times being angry and aggressive to achieve his goals. She discovered over time that Sharpe was extremely emotional and possessed an uncontrollable temper. He displayed the characteristics of a true narc, and he wielded his power, his influence, and his celebrity to control her. And he was able to get exactly what he wanted whenever he wanted. And then it says on October 2024, his behavior of, how whatever he was doing got worse. It got progressively worse. And she had experience, it was getting worse. And it says he was insistent upon recording their encounters. Okay, when they would hook up, he wanted to record it. And it says sometimes without her knowledge. Sharpe was also sharing the videos with others without her permission or knowledge. Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do to her things that Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do to her things that would make no other men want her, or no other man want her. By this point, he was no longer able to maintain the relationship, or, she knew that they weren't exclusive. Okay, at this point, this is when she gets mad about the live stream with my Michelle. Okay, so it says he had at this point accidentally or purposely to advance his career went live on Instagram while having relations with another woman. All right, so she said, listen, he had relations with another woman on live. And that happened right after everybody was alleging that he was gay. Okay, so y'all remember Shannon Sharpe when he was outside with his purse? Hold on, let me pull up that video real quick. This was around the time when everybody was like, oh, he's gay. Shannon Sharpe with his purse. So this was around this time, if y'all remember, he had came on social media and everybody was like, it's giving, and then conveniently to beat the allegations or by accident, he went live accidentally fucking Michelle. Okay. So everybody was watching this. They seen how he got out. He was bow-legged. He was switching. He had the purse in tow. He got out on his, you know what I mean? And so basically she said, girl, it's given, was it an accident or was it on purpose? Was he trying to advance his career or whatever or whatnot? That's what they basically saying up in this message right here. Because shortly after that, everybody was like, he gay, he gay, he gay. But then when he was bumping skins with Michelle, then they was like, oh, well, he must not be gay because he hunching on Michelle. So anyways, she said at this point, he accidentally or purposely to advance his career, went live on Instagram while having sex with another woman. Sharpe flew into fits of anger when plaintiff noted his infidelity to their relationship or called him out about the extracurriculars, activity that he was doing, the extraneous activities. Okay, she like, you talking about we exclusive, but we over here hearing you bumping uglies with Michelle. Then she says that, what had been manipulation, control, and intimidation now became something far more dangerous and sinister. Sharpe even figured out how to get into Doe's apartment complex without her permission. Sharpe made it clear that what Doe wanted was of no moment that Sharpe would get what he wanted when he wanted it. In October 2024, Sharpe violently entered into her butt on 2 different times in LA, blatantly ignoring her request to stop. He did it again in January. So she's saying that he took her Duke hole and then she left, and now she wants $50 million. All right. So this is the lawsuit. Now, I don't really know, if she was abused or if she's a victim or what, but she said that he took her butt, he took her cooch, and she want him to pay because she didn't like the fact that he was humping on Michelle, and she said he was getting aggressive. All right. She says that she was uncomfortable. Let me see. What did it say? What is this? She said her first night. She said her first night going to his house, he told her, let's get straight to it. This what she said. But let me see what this say. The first night plaintiff went to Sharpe's house, the experience was unlike anything she has dealt with before. Disturbing, unsettling, and given his subsequent conduct, very illuminating. When the plaintiff arrived at his house, Sharpe opened the door to his Beverly Glen mansion without a word, no greeting, no acknowledgement, no small talk, without so much as looking at the plaintiff. He simply turned away from her after opening the door and walked upstairs. The plaintiff hesitated but followed, as she did not know what else to do or where else to go. Okay. When they reached the bedroom, Sharpe pointed to the bed, disappearing into the bathroom and shutting the door behind him. He still ain't said a word. She sat on the bed waiting to figure out what's going on. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I leave? Whatever. She said 5 minutes later, he came back. He still ain't said nothing. He turned off the lights and laid in the bed. She was uncomfortable and unsure of what to do, so she laid down too. For 10 minutes, they didn't say a word. They just sitting there quiet. Then she said he placed his hands on her neck from behind, and then he poked her in the back with his flashlight. And then she said his first words of the night was, I knew from the first time I saw you that I was gonna fuck you. Then it say that they both engaged in oral sex. So I mean, is this a 69? Or did he do her, then she did him, or whatever? I really don't know. So then she said that they start doing oral. Hold on, where was I at? Child. Okay, they engaged. She said then. She said they both engaged in it. So I'm like, is this a 69 or you do me, I do you, whatever? She said as they did so, I'm guessing a 69. Doe at some point realized that Sharpe was using his phone. He was apparently recording her. The plaintiff could see that he was trying to be discreet, but it was obvious what he was doing. Okay, she said nothing. See, this is the problem. This is the problem that I have with women. Stuff that y'all are not okay with, that you wouldn't let Joe Smo do, because a nigga got a coin, girls will allow it. Now, when I was out in these Hollywood streets, I met other girls who were also talking to celebrities, dealing with celebrities, and I would hear stories about their interactions and stuff that they wouldn't let Pookie down the street do. But because the guy got a little bit of coin, they allowing them to do things that they would not allow other people to do because money. But my motto has always been, when it comes to Hollywood stuff, I'm standing on what I'm standing on, period. Just because you got money don't mean that we finna do nothing extra of the sorts that I wouldn't be naturally okay with. Okay? One of the guys that I was dealing with, who, might I add, is a celebrity. I was dealing with him for some time. He just recently won a Grammy, might I add. But that's neither here nor there. Just to say that he was a celebrity, he had money, and I was dealing with him obviously when I was much younger, but I never would compromise the things that I wasn't with. Like, he would always try to introduce the idea of us having a threesome or bringing another girl in the bedroom, stuff like that. I don't like bitches. I don't want a girl to touch me, and I don't want to touch a female. I don't want her to eat my pussy, and I'm damn for sure not going to eat hers. So I don't care how much money you had or how much status you had or how much of a celebrity you are. Like, there were certain things that just because you got money or just because you got a status, I don't give a. That was just me. So it's like a lot of girls, however, would feel like, oh, I gotta do this or they gonna lose out on the bag. Girl, child, it's either y'all crazy in the comments. No, it was not. No, it was not. But I did do a Kendrick music video before, but no, it was not Kendrick. But anyways, what was I saying? This was like in his early beginning, but no, it was not Kendrick. I don't know where y'all got that from. That's so crazy. But oh, because I say he just recently won a Grammy. Is that why y'all saying that? No, it was not DJ Mustard. What the hell? No, it was not DJ Mustard. No, I've never fucked either one of them. ever. So, anyways, um, what was I saying? Cause y'all threw me off. Oh, cause he won a Grammy. No, it was not either one of them. It's more people that got a Grammy than Kendrick last year. Okay, I'm like Kendrick. What? No, it was not. But anyways, um, there's a lot of different categories. Okay, other than Kendrick and DJ Mustard. Heavens no, neither one of them. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, I was saying that uh I was not going to sacrifice the things that I was going to do regardless of how much money you had. And guess what? The nigga still was calling. Okay? So, either they fuck with you or they don't. Okay? So, a lot of girls out here, they feel like, oh, if I don't do this, then he won't. Girl, if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And especially out here in California, niggas with money come a dime a dozen. Okay? I'm mad that y'all are just naming any and everybody in the chat. Like, y'all are too much. Have y'all liked the video at all? Like, cause it's giving. Hold on, let me see if y'all even like the video. Cause y'all is over there on 10, honey. Y'all is over there on 10. Y'all is over. Ooh. Y'all is over there on 10 in the chat, child. But anyways, I said that to say the money, the lifestyle, all of those things are enticing, but you guys have to think about your integrity at the end of the day. Like, don't compromise your integrity. If you like a little, if you like a little kinkiness, then hey, do you. But don't change stuff that's not naturally who you are or the things that you're comfortable with for nobody. Okay? Child. Who is y'all saying now? Y'all just throwing anybody's name out there. Like, it's giving y'all just saying anything at this point. And I'm not telling y'all nada. Not confirming anything other than when y'all first start going on a rampage talking about Kendrick. No, it's not Kendrick. But anyways, so yeah, so what y'all think about the lawsuit? Do y'all think she's telling the truth? Do y'all think that she's lying? I think, obviously, to me, just to be honest, I feel like she was with all this shit. But, she in her feelings, she got mad because, he probably cut her off. She didn't let him get she didn't let him do what he wanted. And, he was out here doing whatever. And she in her feelings, and now she's suing. Now, again, I don't know if she was abused, if she wasn't abused. But it just seems more or less like, from the text messages that he provided and then what she's saying and how she's phrasing it, it just sounds more or less like, I'm mad that, like, he had her fucked up about something, and it's like, okay, you got me fucked up. And she probably feel like he ain't gonna never mess with her again, or the situation is over. So it's like she want the money now. But let me tell all these new girls, let me tell you something about a man. Because I see a lot of girls in Hollywood or in the industry, like, they'll get mad when they stop talking to a dude, and they'll feel like the bridge is burned. Like, okay, like, oh, we're probably never gonna talk again, or like, oh, he acting funny now, or child, listen, let me tell you, they be hoes. And so a hoe gonna do what a hoe gonna do. They gonna go here, they gonna go there, they gonna go there. But guess what? Never mind. Never mind. Child, they seem to still find a way to anyways, what else was I gonna talk about tonight? Um I had a couple of uh you said Neek will spin the block and get a few bands off of you for not what? Huh? What y'all saying? Oh, I was supposed to talk about Kanye. Okay, I forgot. Child, thank y'all. Shout out to you. You've been on here the whole time. Not me getting caught up going down memory lane, child. I did have a flash where I started to think about something. I was like, child. Anyways, so yeah, so let's talk about Kanye West. Let's talk about Kanye because he's released a song, and in the song, he is stating that he had a relationship that was explicit in nature with another male cousin. So let me pull that up. Hold on. The Neighborhood Talk has it posted, but they didn't post it right. I mean, or for how I need to pull it up. So hold on. Let me pull it up. Okay, here is a much bigger. All right, let me arrange this over here. All right. So Kanye West released a song, and it says the song is called Cousins, about my cousin that's locked in jail for life for offing a pregnant lady a few years after I told him we wouldn't look at, I guess, dirty magazines. Is that, I know that's not the word dirty that they X'd out. He says, perhaps in my self-centered mess, I felt it was my fault that I showed him those, I guess, dirty magazines when he was 6. And then we acted out what he saw. My dad had Playboy magazines, but the magazines I found in the top of my mom's closet were different. He says his name is Ye, and him and his cousin they were doing explicit things until he was 14. he says that they started to reenact everything that they seen. Hold on, there was one of these blogs that had the lyrics. Hold on. Let me pull up the lyrics to this song that he's. Hmm. Oh, which one had the lyrics to it? I read the actual lyrics of what it was saying. Who posted it? Was it Hollywood Unlocked? Hold on 1 second. Let me find. Not y'all saying I'm adding drama. How am I adding drama? Hold on, let me find it. And what's up with Kevin Gates wanting LeBron to get with white women? He said he sucked his cousin's D until he was 14. Okay, so let's go to, hold on. I know one of these places shared like the I don't know. Let me see if I could Google it. Kanye West slept with cousin lyrics. All right. The Genius has the lyrics. I don't want to play the actual song, but let's look at the lyrics on Genius. So it says, I saw you outside again, just hanging out with your friends. It says, hanging with my cousin, reading dirty magazines. We seen some N-words kissing. We ain't know what that ish mean. Then we start reenacting everything we had seen. That's when I gave my cousin head, he said, saw you outside again, just hanging out with your friends. And then on verse 2, it says, I know these ends about to judge me, and I know these ends about to judge me. Started off when we was hanging out, started off when we hang. Told my cousin not to tell nobody. Please, no, don't tell nobody. Please tell me, take it to my grave. Truth will set you free someday. I don't think they understand that I'm not attracted to a man. They thought I was gay. It says, nitros don't help me. It put me in a trance. I'm talking about euphoria. I am not talking about a man. Told her don't leave me because I need you by my side. As long as you don't leave me, then I'll probably be all right. And that one time that you left me, I didn't get no sleep that night. And that one time that you left me, I took 10 perks to get high. Okay, it says, pray that I don't mind. But if I do, I'll see you in the sky. 2 pints of the quay. Don't leave, just stay, bae. Let's go on vacay. Leave the world behind. And then it repeats the chorus. So this is the song that he just released. And a lot of people on social media had a lot to say about it. And this is just a reminder to the parents out there. A lot of people, their reaction was, oh my God, he's crazy. Like, oh my God, he's saying this. And, you know, they were like saying that he was so crazy. But you'd be surprised how many of y'all men, boyfriends, husbands, baby daddies was experimenting with their male cousins or their homeboys at a young age. And some of them may have felt like, I don't really like this. This ain't for me. And I'll be judged if people know about this. But a lot of people were acting as if, which obviously this isn't something that should be the norm. They were acting as if it was the most like bizarre, unknown thing to man for him to say. And I feel like he's at a point in his life where he's so famous that he uses a lot of shock value to sell records. But I think in his records, he's using a lot of truth. And where a lot of men would not admit to experimenting with other men, i.e. they young homeboys or they other male cousins, he's being brutally honest. And from him being brutally honest about it, people are saying, oh my God, he's a nutcase. And it's like, is he a nutcase because of this, or is he a nutcase because he been off? Now, to me, he's been off his rocker. Okay, and I don't think that this makes him a nutcase. I just feel like he's been a person that's, all over the place, and y'all bottle it up and y'all label it as genius. And I feel like he's at a point to where he's so famous, he's so all over the place, like to where a man normally wouldn't admit such a thing. He's at the point to where he is just outing things that have happened in his life. And I think that to parents or people who are raising young children, a lot of times they'll think, okay, because kids do play house, kids do experiment. A lot of times people think that, oh, I got to watch my child from grown men, or I got to watch like a grown person violating my child. But you have to watch kids with kids. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, the boys are just in there playing the game. And they'll leave two boys alone. But if it was a boy and a girl in there playing a game, whether it be cousins, family, friends, whatever, a parent would check on the boy and the girl dynamic that's in the room playing a game more than they would check on a boy and a boy in the room playing a game. So I say, as parents, not saying that it's something wrong with being gay, but I'm just saying that stop thinking that your child, because this other kid he's framing it like he's the one who violated him. You get what I'm saying? Now, he's framing it like he seen this and he wanted to act it out and perform these acts on his cousin, and he's basically blaming himself like, it's my fault that I gave my cousin oral, and now he done off the pregnant lady, and he's saying like he feels like it's because he is the one who violated the boy. So I say that to mean, don't think that if you just leaving kids around that you don't have to worry about stuff happening. Be diligent and be alert. Now, I wouldn't say like, oh, try to change who a person is. If that's their sexuality, that's their sexuality. But raising up children, if you wouldn't allow it's, no humping to go on with a boy and a girl, don't allow humping to go on in your house with a boy and a boy. Like, raise all the kids how you would raise them, but don't just think that because it's two boys playing the game, or because it's two girls, for that matter, too, in the room playing with dolls, that they not, experimenting or whatever like that. Because just because you don't expose your child to certain things, Kanye had his mama's magazine. So where the other child, mama probably didn't have those dirty magazines in the Playboy magazine, and the other parent probably didn't have these sexual things in nature to influence their child, Kanye parent did. So you could be doing everything right, censoring your child's phone, putting all these parental controls on them. As soon as they go to school, they go out in the public, they go around other peers. Everybody don't parent their kid the same. So the things that you implement for your child don't mean that the kids that your child is around ain't influencing your child. So just be diligent, and, instead of going on a brigade about, oh, he's crazy or whatever, just, this is what's happening. Not saying that it's right. Not saying that, because at 6 years old, a 6-year-old and a 6-year-old, I don't know how much older Kanye was than his cousin, but 6-year-olds, no matter what their sexuality is, whether they was born that way, whether whatever, 6-year-olds should not be sucking each other's wankies. Okay? If you want to experiment, if you choose to grow and that's your interest as older, when you get of age and you want to do that, do that. But at 6 years old, I wouldn't allow my 6-year-old to be my 6-year-old girl, or, whoever. No 6-year-old child should be engaging in anything in sexual nature at all. So as parents, you have to understand, and I'm not saying not put certain parameters in place for your child, but just don't think that the buck stops with you. Like, there's other influences with other kids. Because, I always hear people say, well, I don't let my child can't do this, and my child can't do this and that. And although those are good things to implement, your child, they got tablets in school now. These kids know how to get around the firewalls. Back when I was in school, we had textbooks, pens, paper. Now, it is a requirement that the child be issued a Chromebook. Most of the work is done digitally. And even if you are not a parent that gives your child a cell phone, there are electronic devices that these kids know how to get around certain things. So just be diligent all the way around. But let's see what some people have to say about this on social media, because there was reactions from social media about it. So let's see. All right. So somebody says, I don't know how anyone could laugh at this. This is childhood trauma, not to be taken lightly. I love you, dude, and I appreciate your vulnerability always. Another Little Duval says, Kanye just said he sucked his cousin's D till he was 14. I can't wait to hear his fans defend this. Another person says, out of all the Kanye tweets to break through, all my mutes and blocks. Another person says, you what? Another person says, Kanye did what until he was 14? Another person says, Kanye, I really need him to seek some help for real. Not even on some funny-ish. There is something off, and it's been off, and he needs help. Another person says, I agree. Bro is running on fumes at this point. Feels eerie to hear his newest music and see his post. Another person, oh, some of it is cut off. Hold on. Let me put it here so y'all can see the whole tweets. So these is the tweets before that I was reading. Sorry if they were cut off. Another person says, I think it's time we all collectively mute Kanye and go on about our days. Poor man is not well, and the less attention we give him, maybe then he will just disappear. Another person says, I ignore him every time, no matter how bad his tweets are. This is exactly what he wants, attention. But instead of just ignoring Kanye because he is seeking attention, I think this is time for people to have conversations with their children or be more proactive on what's going on instead of just saying, oh, let's mute Kanye. This issue is a real issue. This is a real thing that is going on in households. We seen, what's her name from Basketball Wives, Royce Reed and Dwight Howard, and that whole thing with their son play out where she got into a new relationship and her son had been exposed to whatever he was exposed to, and then he violated her boyfriend's child. This is a real issue. This person says, I'm 15 years old. I would never show my young and impressionable cousins, stuff like that, or, violate them. Kanye's actions can't be justified because he was young. He repeated this behavior for years and currently has multiple lawsuits alleging similar things. Another person says, Kanye is evil. He has always been evil. And if you continue to support a Nazi alleged and a man who has confessed to child M-wording, you are evil too. Now, I agree with these two people right here. There's nothing to justify this as far as, even though, like I gave a rant that kids are exposed, this is not something that is okay. This is not something that I'm looking at like, well, no. Somebody says, I could have gone my whole life without knowing why Kanye West is trending right now. Another person says, Easter landed on Pothead holiday. The Pope died and Kanye did incest. Any man. Okay, so then it went to the next one. So, I'm interested to hear what his cousin has to say and what age was his cousin. Because he says it started when he was 6 up until 14. How old was the cousin? Because he's taking responsibility for him ending up in prison and unaliving a woman and saying, maybe if I didn't, show you this or that. So it's like, how old was the cousin? What was the situation? It's a lot going on. Jay says that guilt is eating him up for sure. They definitely need to investigate this further. How they compared being 15 with 8, huh? What are you talking about? And when he lost his mom, he never recovered. He just got worse. Yeah, I feel like, the loss of his mom had a big impact on him, but sex, drugs, and rock and roll, have a big impact as well. Like, he's been on mental health meds. He's been on, whatever possible that we, may or may not know about. So those things induce things, it'll chemically all, have you all over the place. So I just think that at the end of the day, he does have a lot of trauma. It seems that he does not like how people engage with him. He doesn't like how things are going. And I think he just needs, he definitely needs therapy. He definitely needs to talk to somebody and talk to a professional and navigate some of these traumas, figure out how to cope with them. Because what a lot of people do is when they have traumas, you'll see people who they're not gonna go on like a Kanye rant and expose stuff that they're choosing to take to the grave. You'll see people drown themselves in alcohol, drown themselves in popping pills, drown themselves in weed, and they'll self-medicate in those type of ways. But it's like a lot of people are trying to escape things from their childhood, escape things that has happened to them. And, it's very important to navigate those feelings and cope with whatever guilt, trauma, or whatever is going on, because they just magnifying whatever it is that they're trying to run from. The more they, more they kind of try to cover it up and run from it. Like, face it head on, talk to a therapist. And a lot of times, every therapist is not a good fit. Once I had my daughter, that was like a big transition from being single, being outside, doing what I want to do. If I don't want to talk to a guy, I don't have to talk to him. Block you in a minute. I'm good for blocking. I'm good for, you piss me off, I'm not talking to you until I want to talk to you. Okay? Now, but when I had my daughter, and I was forced because I wasn't going to not allow him to be in her life, but I also didn't like him as a person because we were like at odds. It was a hard transition from like me being a person to, if a nigga pissed me off, I'm blocking you. I'm not talking to you until I want to talk to you. To, I have to communicate with this person that I don't want to communicate with, because at the end of the day, I love my daughter more than I hate him. And I want my daughter to have her father in her life. I want her to experience what I did not experience. So it was a hard transition to go from the lifestyle that I was used to versus now I have to communicate with somebody that I don't particularly fancy right now. And so I saw a therapist, and the first therapist that I had did not resonate with me at all. Like, it was like talking to somebody and it's like, do you even understand where I'm coming from? Do you even feel me? And I had to switch until I found somebody that actually I felt like, even if they was feeling some type of way, I felt like they connected, and I received the information or the tools to navigate that time from them. So just because you get a therapist, a lot of people, they'll get a therapist and they'll like finally take the step and they'll be like, you know what? All right, let me get a therapist. And then they'll get one that is not a good therapist, and then they will, no longer entertain the idea again. But it's like you have to not only get a therapist, but you have to get the right therapist. You have to get the right therapist that you respect, because you'll see somebody that's a therapist just because the person got that title. You know, we're all humans. There's some people that you'll look at and you be like, I don't respect what you talking about. You don't know what it's like to live in my shoes. Like sometimes you'll see a therapist that, on the outside they'll look cookie cutter, pristine, like you don't know what it's like to live in my shoes. So you have to get somebody to relate, that you can relate to in a way, and also somebody that you respect, that way that when they give you the tools to navigate whatever situation, you can, navigate them properly. You said, I went to my lawyer and she just said pay her child support. Half of y'all arguments going to stop. Did it? When you pay her child support, did half of y'all arguments stop? Did that help? Because, child, just because you pay child support don't mean you ain't a nuisance. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, if that helped, then kudos to you. But the child support situation, that wasn't my issue with my daughter's dad. Child support was not the issue. It was not the issue. Oh, okay. Yeah, that wasn't the issue for me or my daughter's dad at all. But I'm glad that the money helped with your situation, because my daughter's dad paid child support and still was a thorn in my side. But my daughter is about to be 12 and we've come a long way. Okay? We communicate. I don't hate the man. We cordial, My daughter's graduation, we took family, like not family, I mean, like we took group photos where she got pictures of me and her father at her graduation together, so that when she gets older, she'll be able to have that. Now, when I first had her, I didn't think it was it was ever gonna be a day where we was cordial in the same space, and like, oh, come on, we taking these group pictures for the baby. She ain't a baby no more, but you know what I mean. It took some time to get there. It took some time to get there, but child support wasn't it. You said I left her, so I think we had a situation. Oh, okay. Yeah. You know? Sometimes it be deeper than the surface. But you said child support is the easy way out. I mean, child support, I wouldn't say that's the easy way out. I just feel like, I don't know. It just depends on the parties involved and what the issues are. But, from where me and my daughter's dad started out to where we are now is leaps and bounds. Okay? It was leaps and bounds from, because I used to be like, do you need to catch me outside or what? But we grow. We get older, we grow, and, child, stuff be different. My issue was, I'm going to tell you one of my issues that I had. one of my issues that I had, again, they had nothing to do with no goddamn child. I'm just one of them people, like, don't play with me. Like, I'm not okay, so like I don't bring certain people around my child until um like I'm very selective about who I have around my daughter. And so I remember one time she was a newborn. Like she was a baby. And I had like some little some little ponytails that I had put in her hair. And it was like one of his weekends, and then like he was just parading my baby, or like my baby went on like an Instagram tour at one point. And all of his little females or friends or whatever, my baby was popping up on all their Instagram pages. And you know, I just don't I didn't like it. You know, like don't no. No. Don't just be posting my baby willy-nilly with whoever whenever on no damn Instagram tour. You know? Cause I'm not gonna have my daughter posting up with no bunch of niggas. So don't have my daughter posting up with no bunch of bitches. So that was one of my issues. We were young, but you know, I didn't like that. Like I'm not gonna have my daughter up in a lot of guys' faces and posed up with a whole bunch of people. Don't have my daughter posed up with all these different girls. I don't care who they are, homegirl, whatever. Don't no. So that was like one of the things, you know, when I was younger. It didn't have nothing to do with no child support. Like just don't be having my don't. And then one of the girls, like she had like a photo of her like taking my daughter's hair down. I had like little pigtails in my daughter's hair, and like they just got like video, and she's like taking my daughter's hair and, you know, playing in my daughter's hair, and she's a baby, and it's like, we're not gonna do this. You know, so I had to put my foot down, like, quit playing with me. You know, so you know, so it was little stuff like that, like, so, you know, it just be different stuff that, you know, you got to get older, and you gotta, you know, put your foot down. Like, don't just have my baby all willy-nilly all over the place, you know, and stuff. So, but yeah, we've grown. My daughter's older. She definitely, you know, she's very boisterous, and she don't play neither. So, you know. But yeah, so I'm just rambling at this point. So, it was on purpose, Jay. You said he should have known better. It was on purpose. He knew that I would get irritated with that. So, you know, it was one of those things to where it's like, you irritate me, I irritate you, and then like motherfuckers do shit that they know would piss you off, type of thing. You know what I mean? But again, we were much younger, so you know. You know. And it wasn't him that posted the video. It was the bitches on their pages that my daughter was on. And I just felt like, bitch, don't post my damn baby. I don't know. I just didn't like that. Like, don't post my child. Don't, like, you ain't family, don't post her. You know? I don't even want all my family posting pictures of my child. Don't post my child. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm on social media, and it's like, wait, this girl, like, She didn't feel like you got bitches comfortable just posting photos of my baby and them together. Oh no. You know, shit like that. But yeah. What else topic did I want to talk about? We've been on here for 2 hours, y'all. We talked a little bit about Kevin Gates. You said drop the link. What you want to talk about, Unforgettable? You said I feel you on that. Some chick called herself doing my baby hair and chop. Ooh. Oh no. Not the mammy and the wife. Oh, I know you was boiling. You said I didn't allow men in my home. Up on my daughter. She's 20 now. I remember I dated in my 20s a guy out of state, and her dad called and asked me how was me. Yeah. Don't pull no dude up. What? First of all, you ain't running the show, Orlando. You ain't running the show. You ain't got no damn say so over here. If I want to pull up a man, I'm gonna pull up a man. Because it's very much. Can you do a video on the cops flirting with Ebony Collins police? I don't know what video that is. In Chicago. I don't know what that is. But back to Orlando. I'm very much single. Okay? It's giving single and ready to mingle. Okay? And if I want to pull up a man, I'm going to pull up a man. Okay? And you talking about I like you. Well, I don't like you because you sound controlling. But thank you for liking me and thank you for supporting and thank you for watching my video. But it's giving controlling and I can't do that. I can't do no controlling, man, telling me what to do. Now, the only time I'm going to go for a man telling me what to do is if he say, babe, look, I made us reservations and be ready at this time. When he know that my daughter is with her dad and he want to tell me, babe, be ready at this time and we gonna be at this restaurant, then I might listen to something like that, but it ain't giving controlling. I don't do no controlling, man. You ever to tell me what to do. Talk about don't pull no man up. Then what else you gonna be telling me I can't do? It ain't giving that. It ain't giving. It's not giving controlling, okay? I'm 38. I'm 38. I pay all the bills around here. Tell me what my grown self gonna do, child. But anyway, you said be ready at 8. Orlando. Do you need me to drop the StreamYard link? Would you like me to would you like a virtual date right now? Do you want me to drop the link? Because the Night Owls could interview. She said drop it. But you know what? They just be all talk, girl. They be scared. They be scared. I don't care if you at work. I don't care if you at work. You on your phone, you watching YouTube, and you at work. If you was focusing on work, you wouldn't be watching my channel. So do you want the link or not? The problem is y'all be talking. And it just be sounding good. I'm at work. You on work on YouTube. Not y'all saying drop it like it's lukewarm. Y'all is funny. Y'all is funny. Okay, child, listen. Let me end this live and start a new one. Because y'all is funny. And those of y'all who is up and wants to hang out, we could shoot the shit on another live. Okay. Girl, I got 1,001 stories. These darn people in daycare was messing with my twin granddaughter's hair. Ooh, child. Going to Disneyland in a couple of hours. Okay, Stevie, have fun. Okay. All right, so this is what I'm finna do. I'm about to, because you know, if you talk slang on YouTube, the grammar police, oh my God, God forbid you say a word that's not really a word. So let me not say I'm fencing to. I'm about to end this live. And those of y'all that want to hang out and just, you know, shoot the shit, y'all want me to drop the link and all that, click the link. I mean, refresh and come to my, I'm going to start a new live. All right. I'll be right back. Click the link. Come back to my channel.